Right now at 5, the murder mysteries in Bardstown are becoming clearer with each different court appearance, and today turned into another major shocker in Bardstown. No one saw this coming. The live video arraignment of Brooks Houck in court for the murder of Crystal Rogers reveals prosecutors believe they have the gun that killed her father, Tommy Ballard, who of course was leading the search for her remains. Hello everybody, and thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Doug Proffitt. At today's arraignment, the prosecutor revealing they bought a gun from Nick Houck, that's Brooks's brother, and they're currently testing it. They believe that gun was the weapon used to kill Tommy Ballard, Crystal's father, who was mysteriously killed more than a year after her disappearance. Well, WHAS11's Shay McAllister's in Nelson County, along with our chief photojournalist Philip Merrill. They were in the courtroom, and Shay, you saw the reactions of the people when the prosecutor said all this. What did you witness?
Well, Doug, first thing I looked over at Sherry Ballard. She was right in the front row and her eyes swelled with tears. I think it was a very emotional thing, not only to hear Tommy's name, her late husband's name, but to know they are currently working his case so far as they believe they have the gun and the person who fired it. When it comes to an arraignment hearing, there's things you expect. You expect to hear about the evidence. You expect to hear about the bond. You expect to hear about a trial. You don't expect to get a bombshell in a completely different case. That's what happened today. In front of a packed courtroom, another shocker in the small-town murder mystery that just keeps twisting and turning. For the first time, we hear who investigators believe killed Tommy Ballard. Special prosecutor Shane Young saying they are currently testing a gun that belonged to Nick Houck.
We're investigating the murder of Tommy Ballard that could potentially be related to this case. We are waiting for testing to come back on the firearm we believe was used to murder Tommy Ballard, a firearm that we purchased from Nicholas Houck, who was using a fake name when he sold the rifle.
The prosecutor going into detail about why he believes it will be a match.
We know it's the same caliber. There's 5 criteria that they're looking at, and so far it's matched 4 of the 5 criteria.
In the front row of the courtroom, the Ballard family looked stunned, Sherry's eyes filling with tears. It was a moment this family has been waiting for.
That feel real good. We thought it all along, but after prosecuting Shane made that statement, we feel a whole lot better, and I think it won't be too long.
He thinks Nick Houck could be the next arrest. But he and Brooks weren't the only ones from the Houck family mentioned in the courtroom. Prosecutor Shane Young accused the family of violating Kentucky law by secretly recording grand jury proceedings.
The defendant's sister, Rhonda McEvoy Houck, brother Nicholas Houck, mother Rosemary Houck, brother-in-law Alex McEvoy, and Rosemary Houck's live-in boyfriend, Larry Mott, all recorded, secretly brought in recorders and recorded the grand jury. I've been practicing here, Your Honor, for 25 years in this state, and I have yet, ever, heard of anyone recording a grand jury.
He alleged the family was trying to get their story straight, trying to solidify a lie.
As has been stated before, the truth will set you free. The problem in this matter is the truth will imprison Brooks Houck, and we are asking Your Honor to keep the bond the same.
The defense did submit a request to lower the bond. It was what we thought would be the most interesting part of court today, but it was only covered briefly. The defense wants it lowered from $10 million to $500,000. Attorney Brian Butler called the current bond oppressive.
The grand jury out of Nelson County that set this bond, I have been practicing 28 years. I had never heard of a bond even coming close to this.
And I can tell you I've never asked for a $10 million bond. This is the first multi-millionaire I've prosecuted for murder.
Young alleges Houck's construction companies, rental properties, and real estate is worth $10 million, if not more. He says this bond is fair for someone who has so much to lose. Ultimately, the judge asked for more time to review the new information. He says he'll make a decision later. And as the courtroom emptied, we had some questions for Rosemary Houck, Brooke's mom. Rosemary, the special prosecutor accused you of violating Kentucky law today. What do you have to say about that?
Your son's involved in the deaths of...
Did your son, Nick, kill Tommy Ballard?
Rogers, anything you'd like to say?
Did your son kill Tommy Ballard, Miss Howe? Is there anything you'd like to say? She didn't stop to provide any answers about her son, Nick, and the new accusations that he killed Tommy Ballard. But Tommy's dad had these final words.
I'm hoping he'll be the next one arrested.
In a case that continues to stun Kentucky and the nation, another bombshell comes out of court. One the Ballard family hopes is bringing them that much closer to real justice. Okay, so the next court date in this case is coming up in February of next year. It will be here in Nelson County, but eventually court will be moved from Nelson County. The defense team already saying today they fully intend to ask for a different county to take on this case to get a fair trial for Brooks Houck. Well, as you know, there is a co-defendant in this case. We are talking about a man who was arrested just a couple of weeks before Brooks Houck. His name is Joseph Lawson. Joseph Lawson was indicted by a grand jury on 2 different charges: conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. Lawson was arrested on September 8th. He was arraigned shortly thereafter. Court entered a not guilty plea on both of those charges and on his behalf. There are 2 bonds in his case, one for $500,000, the other for $50,000. His court date is set for October 26th. Well, for the family in this case, the Ballard family, it has been an incredibly long 8 years. There have been so many twists and turns. Brooke Hash took some time to go through all of the developments. Let's take a look.
Crystal was last seen alive on July 3rd of 2015. At the time, the Nelson County Sheriff's Office was handling the case. Brooks Houck told police the couple had fed cows at the family farm and then went home together. He says the next morning she was gone. 4 months later, the sheriff at the time announced Crystal was presumed dead.
She has vanished.
And declared Houck the main suspect.
No comment. Thank you. Y'all have a good day.
The FBI took over Crystal's case 5 years later. They'd spend the next 2 years searching several properties from the home of Brooks' brother, former Bardstown police officer Nick Houck, and the family farm. That brings us to June 21st of this year, when a grand jury indicted 32-year-old Joseph Lawson on 2 charges: conspiracy to commit murder and tampering with physical evidence. His attorney confirmed it was in connection to the Crystal Rogers case. And finally, the arrest of Brooks Houck, now charged with murder and tampering with evidence on a $10 million cash bond.
So Shay and I are going to talk about this for a little bit here as she remains live in Nelson County. Shay, what's the latest on the judge's decision on that $10 million bond? Are we expecting it today, or when could it come out?
Doug, it could come out any minute now, honestly. The judge told us in court he needed some time to review documents. Both the defense and the prosecution gave him more things to consider. He wanted to be able to review that. He said he would be entering a written order and submitting it online. So I'm refreshing the website. I haven't seen it yet.
So a few weeks ago, of course, it was Lawson who came out of the blue and shocked everybody. But we've heard the name Nick Houck for quite a while, and of course he was fired by the Bardstown Police Chief Rick McCubbin at the time. Let's talk a little bit about him and his role in this. We haven't heard a lot about him until really today.
Well, Nick Houck was named a person of interest back in October of 2015, the very same day that he was fired and the same day his brother Brooks Houck was named the main suspect. The sheriff at the time said they had 8 pages of, quote, circumstances leading them to believe that Brooks Houck was the main suspect. Nick Houck was a person of interest. But Doug, today we're talking about Nick Houck in connection to Tommy Ballard's death. That is the bombshell. That is incredible information that they are just dropping that in arraignment. Very unusual, but certainly giving a lot of people a lot to think about.
I know, and I go back to what authorities have been telling us and you for quite some time, that once these arrests start, they believe they'll start connecting a lot of these unsolved mysteries. Okay, Shay, thank you very much. More from Shay coming up tonight at 6. Well, we're going to continue on the story now. It was Louisville attorney right here and former prosecutor Nick Mudd who first said right here on WHAS11 that the $10 million bond most likely means the evidence is so strong that the judge agreed with it. This all came out today when the judge asked the prosecutor if they were investigating any other cases. Do you think that question was sort of teed up? It would seem to come out awfully easily.
I think the judge wanted some more answers, but the judge did mention something that concerned me, which made me know why he's concerned about the bond. He said, we are concerned about witness safety in this case. And Mr. Young reiterated that as well and agreed with the judge and said, so am I. I think that can go to a bond as well and could go to the high bond, considering the means this individual has and the ties he has in the community.
But the question was a leading question, and look what it revealed.
I agree. And it kind of dropped a bombshell on what we've talked about for weeks, Doug, which is we had one person, we said, what, somebody else is coming. Then we had Mr. Houck, Brooks Houck. We looked at that indictment and said, well, that's complicity, not just murder, it's complicity. And now today, someone else has been brought in the fold. Now, they haven't been charged, right? But here we are, the prosecutor, Shane Young, bringing out another name and yet somebody else involved in the situation.
And then walked us through where they're standing with that gun. They're currently testing it. Do you think an arrest could come after those test results come back?
I think it certainly could. What they do is they use firearm and tool mark examiners. It's a science that has a strong foundation. I've used it a lot of times as prosecution and in the defense. It's commonly used throughout the world. It's a very accepted science. And Mr. Young reiterated that 4 of the 5 tests so far have came back as valid.
So it seems like every time we've come into court so far, and there hadn't been a lot of these appearances, something new is revealed. Another piece of the unsolved mysteries seems to be coming closer and closer to an end. Is that the way you see this?
Yeah, it certainly does. And the question's going to be is what is that in that terabyte of evidence? He said a terabyte, not a gigabyte, okay, a terabyte. That is a ton of information, a ton of discovery, a ton of evidence that's going to come forward in this case.
So that's why we won't see a trial probably in quite a while.
I would say Mr. Butler was clear on the record, Judge, I don't think I could get a trial even in 2024 because of that much evidence is just enormous for any case.
All right, Nick Mudd, thank you for your perspective. Nick's been following it closely and will join us along down the road as this case continues to unravel right in front of our eyes. Well, don't forget, you can read the full timeline of the Crystal Rogers investigation right on our website. Plus, we also have a new 20-minute special we posted on our YouTube page with Eric King and Shay McAllister. They're answering the most common questions around the Crystal Rogers case and the other unsolved Bardstown murders. You can watch it on the WHAS11 YouTube channel.
Coming back to our forecast now, we're looking at Max HD radar where we have some moderate rain falling from St. Matthews and Germantown down towards the Buchel neighborhood. Also a decent little area of some more moderate rain between New Albany and Jeffersonville right now. This is some sorely needed rain, and it's a very good thing that we are finally getting it. And the other good thing is that it's pretty much area wide. Not quite as much falling south of the Western Kentucky and Bluegrass Parkways, but we are going to notice it slowly pushing to the east and southeast here over the next a few hours, and we're in pretty much the thickest band of that rain at the moment, but we'll continue to see some showers through the rest of this evening. A broader view shows that back edge is going to be pushing in here, already making its way into western Indiana right now. So I think we still have a few hours of rain left. 68 degrees right now. Winds are out the southwest at about 10 miles per hour. Our high today was 78, so that rain really cooled us off quite quickly. So we're already in the 60s, but by 3 a.m. we're going to be drying out, and by the time the night team is on at 11, I think we'll see the back edge of this rain starting to push through. We have a big cool down coming our way ahead. I'll let you know how cool we're going to be getting in the coming days.